Motorsports coverage presents Speed World. Today, live from Darlington, South Carolina, the Gatorade 200 Busch Grand National Race being brought to you by Pontiac Grand Prix, the 1988 Motor Trend Car of the Year. By Quaker State Motor Oil, the big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. By Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. And by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. In South Carolina, it's a hot and humid afternoon. It's cloudy, and there was some rain here earlier today. The forecast calling for a 30% chance this afternoon. It could be a factor in the outcome of this event. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Darlington. Busch Grand National Racing today, the Southern 500 Winston Cup event tomorrow. But certainly this Grand National division does not live in the shadows of Winston Cup. Going into this 24th race of the year, the top 5 in Grand National points are separated, as you can see, by only 150, with Tommy Ellis at the top of the list. However, the last 6 Grand National races here at Darlington have been won by Winston Cup drivers. What about that, Ned?
Well, certainly their experience pays off when they come to a super speedway. Last week at Bristol, a Busch Grand National driver sat on the pole, Tommy Ellis. He could do no better than 15th here. 17 of the top qualifiers here for the Gatorade 200 have Winston Cup experience. Only Mike Swain, Rob Moroso, and Ed Barrier do not have any Winston Cup experience. And they too, Bob, could play a role in the outcome of the point standings at the end of the year. If you have a Grand National driver that's fighting for the points, finished in the top 5 here today, and then you have 4 or 5 Winston Cup drivers before you get to another Grand National driver, that's a lot of points in the separation there, so it could play a big part in the outcome of the point standings.
One of the Winston Cup guys in the field this afternoon had a bad crash at Bristol just last weekend. For that story, let's go to the pit area. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, thank you very much, Bob Jenkins. We are indeed standing with Rusty Wallace, who just climbed in the car to get ready for today's race. And Rusty, after a scary moment last weekend, and this guy was nearby when they were trying to get you out of the race car, Rusty, how do you feel today?
I really feel 100%. My neck doesn't hurt. I feel like I'm right back after it. Just kind of took the doctor's orders and spent a lot of time in bed, just feeling good, and my neck doesn't hurt anymore right now, and I feel that after this 200 milers over today, if I feel good after that, I know I'm 100%. I feel 100% right now, but the race will tell the story.
Well, 200 miles today, 500 miles tomorrow in the Southern 500, and your good buddy Dale Earnhardt, who we all call Ironhead, has given you a nickname. After hitting your head last week and bouncing back, Earnhardt came over and signed the helmet Rubberhead. That's Rusty Wallace's new nickname, courtesy of Dale Earnhardt, Rubberhead. Let's go to Dick Berggren. Dick?
Well, Jerry, once again, tires are the story. Here at Darlington, however, nobody's really concerned about tires blistering. What they're worried about is the tires wearing out prematurely. Some competitors say they're only going to get 30 or 40 laps out of a set of tires. Others say they can go 50 or 60 laps. Everybody is pretty much in agreement, however, that the tires are going to wear out before the competitors need fuel. If they come in to change tires under a caution flag in this division, rules allow them to change only 2 tires. That will put a special premium on those teams that are very fast at making pit stops. Bob?
All right, thank you, Dick. And of the 39 starters that are lined up on pit road ready to go, only 2 will begin this race on Hoosier tires, Mark Martin and Ronald Cooper. The others will begin on the Goodyear Eagle tires. The track description here at Darlington, well, it's a 1.366-mile oval. The banks are 22 degrees. It was resurfaced in 1987. The length of our event this afternoon, 147 laps, 200 miles, and they should be able to get between 70 and 75 laps out of a tank of fuel. However, they should be coming in for a change of tires before they come in for fuel. Now let's go down to the start line and that command to start engines.
Drivers, start your engines. And the field with 39.
The field is set to go for 147 laps and the Gatorade 200, the first of 2 big races here at Darlington International Raceway this weekend. Tomorrow, the Southern 500 Winston Cup race live at 1 o'clock. Stand by now. We'll be back to give you the starting lineup, the 39 that will go today in the Gatorade 200 right after this. Welcome back to Darlington International Raceway. The cars begin to move away from pit road. They move onto the racetrack for a couple of warm-up laps before getting the green and for 147 laps of competition. Here's the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole for the third time this year in Grand National competition, Jeff Bodine in number 15 Levi Garrett Chevy. Outside of that front row will be to the number 7 Skoal Buick, driven by Harry Gant, the defending champion of this race. In the second row, it'll be Dale Jarrett in the number 32 Portaloo Oldsmobile and Rusty Wallace in the Kodiak Pontiac car number 66. The third row, Brad Teague in car number 75, the Food Country USA Oldsmobile, and Dale Earnhardt in the GM Goodrich Chevrolet car number 8. Going to row number 4, it's Morgan Shepherd in the Winner's Circle Auto Parts Buick car number 97, and L.D. Ottinger in the Detroit Gasket Buick car number 2. Mike Alexander will start in 9th position in the 84 GM Tech Buick, and Bobby Hillen Jr. from Midland, Texas, the Brendless Rain-X Buick car number 81. Then going to row number 6, it is Larry Pearson in car number 21, the Chattanooga Shoe, and Michael Waltrip starting for brother Darrell, number 17. The 7th row, Jimmy Hensley in number 5, and Davey Allison in 28. The 8th row, Tommy Ellis, last week's pole sitter at Bristol, and Mike Swaim alongside him in row number 8. As you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup for today's event, we mentioned the experience that starts in this lineup today with all the Winston Cup guys, but there are some, Ned, making their very first start in this kind of competition.
Actually, there are 4 drivers who are making their first start in Busch Grand National competition. Frank Fleming of Mount Airy, North Carolina. Now, Frank is a seasoned modified driver and has a lot of wins under his belt in that division. Preston Brown from Jacksonville, North Carolina. He has some super speedway experience in the Charlotte Daytona Dash Series. And Ben Hess of Wadsworth, Ohio, he has some ARCA experience on super speedways. And Jimmy Edwards Jr. of Fayetteville, North Carolina, is perhaps the winningest driver of that foursome. He has 198 wins and 15 years of dirt track experience, but we all know there's quite a bit of difference in driving on the dirt tracks and driving on a track like Darlington.
Jeff Bodine up front. As we said, this was his 3rd pole of the year in Grand National competition. He won this race earlier the year in March. Harry Gant won this race last year, and he, of course, starts alongside Jeff Bodine in that front row. So a lot of experience on the front of the field. Dale Jarrett, Rusty Wallace are in row number 2, and then we get back to Mike Alexander driving car number 84. He is in 2nd position in the point standings going in, and he had the points lead in Grand National competition for a major part of the early season.
And then he's got the call to drive for Bobby Allison after Bobby was injured in the Winston Cup Series, and it really put a strain on him, Bob. For a while, he was flying back and forth, qualifying a Winston Cup car on a Friday or a Saturday, flying to a Busch Grand National race somewhere on Saturday night, and was really taxing his Busch Grand National program. But he's bounced back now, had a good 2nd place finish last week, and he feels that he's back in the running of the Busch Grand National Championship.
And the number 21 car that you saw just a moment ago being driven by Larry Pearson, who won last weekend's race at Bristol, Tennessee in the Pontiac 200 that we televised live for you last Friday night. And alongside him will be the number 17 car, normally driven by Darrell Waltrip, but it's being chauffeured today by Michael Waltrip. The pace car is in turn number 3 as it will begin to accelerate now and dive down off the 22 degrees of banking, and the field is now under the control of pole sitter Jeff Bodine. This has always been one of the most exciting Grand National races we televise all year. We should see lots of lead changes and a lot of back and forth competition. Let's see how things go today. They look over the field. It's a slow start, and there's the green flag. We're underway with the Gatorade 200. We're glad you can join us on this Saturday afternoon. Sit back and relax for Grand National racing.
Jeff Bodine got himself a good jump on the start there, Bob. He's about 3 or 4 car lengths ahead of Harry Gant as they go up the backstretch.
Bodine stretching out the lead a little bit on Harry Gant, who runs in 2nd position. That is Dale Jarrett running in 3rd spot. And in 4th right now is Rusty Wallace as they come off of corner number 4 to complete lap number 1.
We understand that Pat Louise in car number 37 might get the black flag because she pulled out of line before she got to the start-finish line at the start of the race.
Well, we did see one car move to the inside of the racetrack before crossing the line, and that apparently was enough for the NASCAR officials to give the violation to Patty Moise. We'll watch and see if she comes into the pit area and receive the black flag. There you see the top 4, and the number 21 car of Larry Pearson is moving up through traffic. A car ahead of is the yellow number 5, driven by Jimmy Hensley. Here they come off the 4th corner once again, completing lap number 2. It is still Jeff Bodine leading, but it's a good race as several positions are being changed in the back of the field.
Well, Harry Gant has moved right up on the back bumper of Jeff Bodine, now putting the pressure on him. Jeff got a good jump on the start, but it didn't take Gant long to close the gap.
That's Gant in the green and white car number 7, and Jeff Bodine in the yellow and white number 15. Dale Jarrett is in the red and white car, and then Rusty Wallace behind Jarrett. Brad Teague is running in that 5th position. A lot of intestinal fortitude by Rusty Wallace coming here and choosing to run this Grand National race with all of the problems that he had during the Winston Cup race last week. That is the terrific strain on his neck, but he apparently has rested over the weekend, is ready to go here this afternoon.
We see Rusty running in the 4th position now, running along in very good shape, although the 3 have moved out some 7 or 8 car lengths in front of him.
The number 75 car being challenged now by Dale Earnhardt in the black and white number 8 car as they move into corner number 1. That is the battle for 5th spot. It's Dale Earnhardt looking to the inside of Brad Teague as they come out of corner number 2 and go down the backstretch. Brad Teague in the blue and red number 75 car has that 5th position nailed down at the moment, and Earnhardt now drops back just a little bit as they go into the 3rd turn.
Bob, the car that Jeff Bodine is leading with here now is not the car he won with here in the spring. This is a Chevrolet Monte Carlo. He was still in one of the old model body cars in a Pontiac when he won here in the spring. And this is the car that he ran at Charlotte in May. The car was wrecked in that race, but he did set on the pole and was one of the front runners.
The number 52 car of Ken Schrader was off the pace when he came around last time, and he is way off the pace now. He has the car still on the racetrack, but is on the inside of the front straightaway as he comes down. We understand that the ignition may be gone in that car, so Ken Schrader's afternoon is going to end prematurely as he goes very, very slowly down the front stretch and into corner number 1.
Well, he's one of 7 or 8 Winston Cup drivers who own their own Busch Grand National car. He and his wife, Annie Schrader, own that car together. So looks like they're going to have a tough day here.
And there you can see the leaders beginning to lap some of the slower traffic already as Harry Gant makes a bid for the lead. Into turn number 1, he has the inside line, and that's the place to be. So he grabs the lead now from Jeff Bodine. But here comes Jeff right back to the inside in corner number 4. Let's see who leads this lap. They come off the 4th turn. It's going to be Harry Gant leading this lap, with Bodine now to 2nd place. Dale Jarrett still right in there in the thick of things in 3rd spot.
Well, Gant took advantage of that lap traffic and just came off a 2, got him a good running start up the back stretch and moved around Bodine.
So the 7th lap out of 147 and lapped by Harry Gant. We'll be back with more live Busch Grand National racing from Darlington, South Carolina in a moment. Bob Jenkins along with Ned Jarrett, Jerry Punch, and Dick Berggren at Darlington International Raceway in South Carolina for the Gatorade 200 Busch Grand National race. We are 10 laps into this 147 lap event, and the lead is held by Harry Gant in the green and white car number 7. There is the battle for 2nd position. Jeff Bodine in the number 15 car has 2nd spot, but right on his back bumper is the number 32 Portaloop machine driven by Dale Jarrett.
And those cars have pulled away from 4th place runner Rusty Wallace. Rusty's some 1 or 1 2/10 seconds behind the 2nd and 3rd place drivers. Bob, this is a combination point race for the Busch Grand National North Series as well as the regular Busch Series point champions. Dale Shaw is the leader of the Busch Grand National North Series. He unfortunately has already had to make a pit stop in his Budweiser car, but he's back out in the running now.
The Ford V6 being driven this afternoon by Mark Martin. There he is, and he's being shown in 16th position at this moment. The only V8 that started this race was in the Ford driven by Joe Thurman. That's the number 24 car, but all others are V6s. And there's another guy that will be doing double duty this weekend, as Mark Martin will also compete in the Winston Cup Southern 500 tomorrow afternoon. Back up front, it is still Harry Gant leading, Jeff Bodine and Dale Jarrett. 4th place, Rusty Wallace, then Brad Teague, Bobby Gillen Jr. is 6th. Morgan Shepherd is 7th. Mike Alexander is 8th. And then the number 17 car driven by Michael Waltrip.
You can see the leader's about to come up on some heavy traffic. The black flag being given to, look like Dale Shaw's car, the car number 60, the fellow we were talking about just a moment ago. He has already been in the pits one time.
Dale Earnhardt is running in 6th position and still doing battle with Brad Teague. They have been, they touch coming out of corner number 2 as Dale's gets a little bit sideways and bumped the Brad Teague car, number 75. And look at this, there's Morgan Shepherd that's going to try to make it 3 wide. There certainly is not room for 3 cars going into turn 3.
There's really not room for 2 cars going into that turn, let alone 3, but Morgan gave him a little anxious moment there. Of course, Earnhardt ran up on the car they were lapping there and had to drop back. But Earnhardt went into that first turn determined to take away that 5th position from Brad Teague, but Brad hung on.
5th, 6th, and 7th right here. And the number 84 car, driven by Mike Alexander, is running in 8th spot. So some good, tight competition here. But Dale Earnhardt in the number 8 car is really knocking on the door of Brad Teague as they go into turn number 3 once again. The racing crew very narrow. Dale pulls in again, and
boy, he is an intimidator. He don't mind sticking that bumper up there, just touching you just a little bit and keeping that pressure on.
And the yellow and white car that has joined this group is the 81 machine driven by Bobby Gillen Jr. So some real tight competition here.
Mark Martin has gone into the pits, we understand, on the backstretch. We were on him a moment ago. One of the V6 Fords running. Kyle Petty is also running the V6 Ford in this field this afternoon. Earnhardt keeps the pressure on Brad Teague. Now, this perhaps, Bob, is Brad Teague's best super speedway. He has always run well on this speedway. He likes it. He drives the track real well. Runs here better than anywhere else. But boy, look at the traffic they're in.
Oh, look at Earnhardt. He's way down on the apron of the racetrack and trying to pass several cars. May have touched one of the slower back markers as they went into turn number 1. He can't gain much of an advantage, but now has about a half a car length lead on Brad Teague. But let's watch Teague to the outside of the racetrack. He is certainly, as you indicated then, not being intimidated by Dale Earnhardt as these guys are slugging it out. And now, there goes Dale Earnhardt sliding to the inside, up the banking, but he has the position.
He just drove it in there harder going into turn 3 and took the position.
Now let's watch Morgan Shepherd in the black and white car number 97 as now he is behind Brad Teague.
Brad Teague's last win on the Busch Grand National Circuit came at Martinsville in March of 1987. Let's take a look at Earnhardt's move on the front straightaway. As they came up on the heavy traffic, Brad Teague had committed himself to the outside as he came off in turn 4. Dale Earnhardt decided he would go on the inside, made it 3 abreast, 4 abreast as they came down the front straightaway. The one car moving all the way to the inside, giving him plenty of room to run. There's Morgan Shepherd dipping out behind Earnhardt going into the turn. And as Earnhardt comes back into the lap car, he touches him just a little bit. He cut back in too quick, but he still was up beside of Teague going into the turn, then made the pass going into turn 3.
Some good heads-up driving there by the car that went to the very inside of the racetrack. Obviously, he knew what was going on behind him and got well out of their way. Now we go back up front. There's the separation between first and second as Harry Gant and Jeff Bodine are still pretty close out there. A little bit of an interval now back to 3rd position, and that is Dale Jarrett. Let's go to Dick Berggren, who's been watching the progress of Harry Gant.
Well, Bob, how would you like to buy a brand new car and have everything work perfectly right out of the showroom floor? That's exactly what we're watching today with Harry Gant. This is a brand new race car. It replaces one that we saw destroyed on ESPN in May at Dover. How much practice did they have before they brought the car here? 0. You're watching the practice right now as Harry Gant leads this race.
Well, he's practicing very well, no question about that, as he now has the lead, and the interval is about 6, 8, maybe even 9, 10 car lengths between himself and Jeff Bodine, as 20 laps out of 147 are complete here.
Now, Dale Jarrett has dropped back a little bit, Bob. We know that he qualified on used tires. Gant and Bodine both qualified on brand new tires. Dale couldn't get new tires mounted up in time to qualify, so the tires that he has are the ones that he practiced on. He already had about 15 or 20 laps on those tires before he qualified, so he might be getting close to the number of laps of wear that those tires have on it. I'm sure that's beginning to concern Dale.
Back in 10th position is the number 17 car, driven by Michael Waltrip. And indeed, Darrell did qualify this car during the qualifying earlier this weekend, but Michael Waltrip has taken over driving chores, and you can see he has his hands full with the number 2 car driven by L.D. Ottinger, and right there also is the Haviland car driven by Davey Allison in car number 28. It's a whole string of cars right ahead of Michael Waltrip. There you can see Bobby Hillen Jr. And right ahead of him, Mike Alexander, then Dale Earnhardt, and then Brad Teague.
Earnhardt has been able to move away a little bit from Brad Teague after he made the pass, but Brad Teague has Morgan Shepherd behind him now. Of course, you can see that 3-car battle there between Michael Waltrip, L.D. Ottinger, and Davey Allison. Davey Allison running a Buick, that car number 28. He started out this season in a Ford in the Busch Grand National Series, and then switched over to the Buick because the Ford V6 engine program was not quite as far along as he felt it needed to be, so he switched to the Buick.
Side by side and nose to tail racing out there as we're watching 6 through 11. Davey Allison on the high side of the number 60 car driven by Dale Shaw. The 07 car, the purple one right behind Davey Allison, is driven by Tommy Sigmund from Hickory, North Carolina. It is still Harry Gant leading this race as he begins to close in on some of the slower traffic. And the top 10 as we have them at the moment. Harry Gant in the lead, followed by Jeff Bodine. Dale Jarrett is still in 3rd position, followed by Rusty Wallace. Dale Earnhardt. We'll be back in just a moment. At Darlington, that's Harry Gant in the Skoal Bandit Chevrolet car number 7 leading the race. He has just lapped the number 42 car driven by Elton Sawyer. That means there are 23 cars now on the lead lap with 27 laps completed. Harry Gant begins to stretch it out just a little bit. There's the yellow and white car 15. That is in 2nd position. However, you can see that there are several cars between 1st and 2nd position, and the number 88 car driven by Bobby Labonte takes Jeff Bodine high on the racetrack in turn number 2, and now Jeff Bodine will pull alongside the number 11 car driven by Jack Ingram, who was the last regular Busch Grand National driver to win here. That was in April of 1985. And look at this battle between L.D. Ottinger in car number 2 and Davey Allison in 28. This is the battle for 11th, and the number 17 car there driven by Michael Waltrip. He runs 10th at the moment.
They've really been going at it for about 10 laps, Bob, but Davey has not been able to move around L.D. Ottinger. He got up beside him a time or two, but just couldn't move around.
Davey Allison driving car number 28, the Haviland Buick.
Ottinger, of course, a former champion of this division before it became the Busch Grand National Series. In fact, he won the championship twice back in the 70s.
This is only Davey Allison's 7th Busch Grand National race of the year. And now you can see that last week's winner, Larry Pearson, is being lapped by Harry Gant, and so Harry laps the 16th place car. And obviously, things are not going well for Larry Pearson, who led all but 30 laps last week at Bristol. Jerry Punch, what might be the problem with Larry Pearson?
We had heard they may have a brake problem on the car, but Larry says that's not the problem at all. You know, normally drivers complain about rain. Larry Pearson and a number of drivers are complaining about the sun. The cars were set up to run in cloudy, overcast conditions for a cool day. It is now not a cool day. It is getting hotter by the minute. The track is heating up, and a lot of drivers, Larry Pearson, Jeff Bodine, 3 or 4 others, their cars are not set up correctly. They're awfully loose, and they can't drive them. They're going to have to hang on till they get a caution flag and come in and make a chassis adjustment. That's the problem with Larry Pearson and some of the other top runners.
Gary, we have noticed that up here, that many of the cars are not handling as well as they had hoped they would, and I think that's why some of the cars are not running as fast. You can see Pearson's car go up as he goes into the turn. Rick Mast coming up on him, trying to make a pass on him there right now. But normally Larry Pearson's car is one of the better handling cars on the racetrack, but it's awfully easy to miss the setup here at Darlington, and it's almost impossible to get a car set up perfectly here because the 2 turns are so different. Turns 1 and 2 are more normal oval track type turns, where turns 3 and 4 are long, sweeping turn, and you got to sacrifice some in one turn or the other.
There you can see Jeff Bodine in the number 15 car pass both Rick Mast and Larry Pearson. But Jeff Bodine is about half a straightaway back now. And we asked him earlier in the weekend, how does intimidation play a role on this racetrack?
I mean, you can't ignore if somebody runs into your door in your back quarter panel. You can't ignore that. If your car goes sideways, it's for real. You're sideways. And yeah, you've been intimidated. The fella that's doing it to you, he's got you out of shape. He's got you thinking about something other than going straight ahead and going fast and staying ahead of him. You're trying to save the car, so that's a form of intimidation. Sometimes you don't even need a bump. You just look up and see who it is, and you're intimidated. You know, I think everyone knows who I'm talking about there. But I intimidate some people. I think all the Winston Cup drivers intimidate the Busch Grand National drivers. When they see us coming, they're intimidated right there. They might take a little tighter grip on the steering wheel because they know we're going to either try to go by or just push them real hard and try to make them make a mistake.
Well, I think he was perhaps talking about Dale Earnhardt when he talked about this guy that we all knew who he was. We talked about him earlier. He don't mind getting in there and intimidating a little bit, and Jeff Bodine don't mind it either.
So there are mind games going on in addition to the battle on the racetrack. There is Bodine moving to the inside in turn 3. We're showing you an interval here between Bodine and the leader of the race, Harry Gant. And there you can see it's quite a significant advantage that Harry Gant has now. And we go back to this battle. It is Brad Teague, Morgan Shepherd, and Bobby Hillin Jr., the numbers 75, 97, and 81. Let's watch Bobby Hillin Jr. as he looked like he wanted to try for that position that's now held by Morgan Shepherd by going to the inside on the straightaway, but not no luck this time.
No, he went awfully high going into that turn, but it did give him a good run coming off of turn 2, and now he's going to try Morgan on the inside going into turn 3. Let's see if he can make it work. Nope, not quite that time.
Well, you got to really watch turn 3 here. It's a very narrow groove up in that area, isn't it, Ned?
Yes, it is. It's very narrow. In fact, it's almost impossible to go in there side by side running at full speed. Now, Hillin comes all the way from the outside of the track, tried to dip down on the inside of Morgan Shepherd, but that didn't quite work either.
So Morgan Shepherd holds off the challenge of Bobby Hillin Jr., and this is for the 7th position. Shepherd in 7th right now. The 6th place car is the number 75 machine driven by Brad Teague.
One of the winners this year on the Busch Grand National Circuit. He won at Dover, Delaware back in May. He is one of 3 first-time winners on the circuit this year. Dick McCabe is a first-time winner. He won up in Maine, Oxford, Maine, and Rob Moroso won at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Now watch Morgan Shepherd as he's trying to gain the advantage. Looking to the inside of Brad Teague, but again, not able to take the position away from Brad for 6th position.
We have a report there might be some smoke coming from Dale Earnhardt's car. I beg your pardon, the Dale Earnhardt's car number 8. I get mixed up. He runs number 3 tomorrow in the Western Cup Series. We'll take a look at that car as we see Earnhardt going into turn 1.
Yeah, we don't see any visible signs right now, but
it could have been tire smoke maybe as he went into one of the turns. He's about to catch Rusty Wallace. Rusty is running in the 4th position, and Earnhardt moving in very close on Wallace as Wallace moved around the car number 56. That's Ron Cooper.
Ronald Cooper, one of those who began the race on Hoosier tires. And now there's clear sailing between Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt. Talk about mind games being played. These two have quite a rivalry. It is a very friendly rivalry. As a matter of fact, Dale Earnhardt was one of the first on the scene of Rusty's crash last week at Bristol, seeing if there was anything he could possibly do to help his friend, who at the time was unconscious and being tended to by our Dr. Jerry Punch. The lead continues to be held by Harry Gant. There he is.
Boy, that car is working perfectly. He just goes anywhere he wants to. He was able to work that traffic real good as he came up and lapping those cars, and now has just moved away from Jeff Bodine, continues to pull away.
All right, 41 laps are completed now, and the lead is held by Harry Gant. Running in 2nd position is Jeff Bodine. 3rd is Dale Jarrett. 4th, Rusty Wallace, and 5th, Dale Earnhardt.
Back in Darlington, South Carolina, trouble for Dale Jarrett, the 3rd place car. Unscheduled pit stop. Left front tire was going down on the front of the Oldsmobile. stable time under green.
And right behind Dale Jarrett, the number 5 car of Jimmy Hensley, also making a pit stop. He was running 14th and now is in for a change of right side rubber. Remember, they can change as many tires as they want to under green, but under caution, they can only change 2. If they change more than that, they're penalized a lap.
And Bob, I'm sure that Dale Jarrett would rather have been able to change right side tires as opposed to left side tires, but as Jerry pointed out, the left front was going flat on his car, and it looks like Jarrett might be about to come back into the pits. He has slowed coming off the turn 4.
There's a number 25 car of Rob Moroso right behind the 7 car, the leader.